about top players, characters, they all respect each other?
No, just say the whole thing again. It's amazing.
I hate you, Tafo. God! Okay, what I was saying was that when you play, when you play enough top players, you know that they all they have enough melee fundamentals that they can transfer that to other characters, and so that's where basic analysis of this character won X tournament or that character won X tournament kind of breaks down because the skill gaps in melee matter far more than matchups or even how good a character is. Frequently, those skill gaps, even the Fox players that we talk about who might dominate the top 32 would very likely make that top 32 with their secondary, their secondary top tier. At the very least. And so what I was saying was that SJ, who's a person who's known for having a lot of good characters, I agree with you that Axe would just naturally respect that and know that it's not SJ's Falcon that's good, it's just SUJ, and so his Shiek is really not that big of a surprise. And I think that we could see SUJ use that Shiek on Fountain of Dreams and FD instead of the Falcon, though Fountain and FD are actually Shiek's worst stages in the Pikachu matchup as well, because the lower platforms on Fountain of Dreams disrupt the chain grab, and on FD, Pikachu can dash dance out Shiek just like many other dash dance characters do in that matchup. It's still better than it is, that matchup is, than it is for Falcon on Falcon's side. Falcon Pikachu is worse than Shiek Pikachu on Fountain and FD, but it's not like SJ is getting a hyper good counter pick in my opinion, just because of the stages he'd end up leaning on. I think he's still going to try it out. I think he could also consider it as Falco potentially. I think that might be a little bit rougher because Axe is stronger in that matchup, and Pikachu in general is stronger in that matchup. But it's at least an evolution of what they've been doing, right? Which has mostly just been SJ losing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think Shiek allows for a lot more mistakes, so SJ being a little bit more aggressive with Shiek. If he makes a mistake, he's not going to get chain grabbed or given to Oblivion. And so I think it kind of helps here, where even if Shiek nails an opening, he still deals decent damage because Shiek Pika is kind of really bad for Pikachu.
Yeah, right. And I think a player of SJ's skill, even when he's playing a secondary, will be able to exploit that kind of matchup difference. So, yeah, for sure. It's sad to me to see the homie stock cost SJ the set. I think that I want to rename it personally. I don't want to call it a homie stock. Hey, mute your mic when I'm talking. It's echo. So, Tafo, kill me.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right. So I have the dream scenario right now. I'm using my mic, and I'm playing back through the computer. So
all right,
you're no longer echoing. So we have the best of every world right now.
Okay. So I was saying something. I don't remember at all.
It's okay. Well, what do you think about did you watch Commentator versus Dizzkidboogie?
No, I didn't. What happened there?
It's the most hyped timeout that you could ever watch in Melee.
Dizzkid timed him out?
Commentator timed him out.
Commentator timed him out. That's new. Really? How'd that happen?
Luigi doesn't want to touch the ground, and this kid's on the ground.
So Luigi just stayed on a platform, and Dizzkid didn't move?
Yeah.
You know who's also timed out Dizzkid in tournament before?
Who?
Me. I did on Dreamland to him. Or at least I think it was close to a timeout. I think it was like last 30 seconds, and I ended up winning. But yeah. That was back when Dizzkid was named Ruin, and he was like a NorCal player. This was way back at Landhammer. But yeah, it's actually something that I felt like he was weak to when I was watching it, when I was playing it, and it worked as like a game 3 win. So
damn, I've never played Dizzkidboogie in tournament, but I imagine I'd probably lose.
Yeah, I mean, Shiek ICs, right?
I think Shiek ICs is very reasonable, by the way.
You think it's good for Shiek?
I think it's reasonable. I don't think it's impossible.
I mean, I actually just I am the type, and I'm not Shiek main, who it's one of those matches where I actually lean on the results. I know there's theory rolling one way or the other, but I just don't like how badly Shiek loses on the ground. So
yeah, that's fair.
I really do think it is bad. I don't think it's like horrific, but I think it's bad for sure. At a tournament level, it's horrific.
Yeah, but we claw on. Let us apply our biases. Where once in a while, Druggedfox wins a set or Ladanus wins a set, and we go 2-20, but we'll latch onto like the 2 wins and say like it's even.
It actually might be, of the top tier matchups, the worst win rate of any 2 characters. I'm pretty sure it is, actually.
I think so. I think Ice Climbers have been doing better against Peach actually than Shiek. Or Ice Climbers have been doing better against Peach than Sheiks have been doing against Ice Climbers.
I don't actually think the Ice Climbers Peach one is in the top 3 of that list.
What do you think it is?
Right. I mean, Peach Buff is probably up there, right? I mean, you only really have Hungrybox sets to go off of, so that actually that makes it worse. But Abu doesn't really lose to Peach either, right? And neither does Tech, to my knowledge. Like the Puffs. When's the last time a Puffs lost to a Peach? I don't know. It's been a long time though. I guess Peach ICs might be 3rd, right? I wouldn't be surprised, like, and this is why I want this eventually when we have more and more advanced analytics. I wouldn't be surprised if Falcon was actually really bad, because I look at it, especially in the last year and a half, and like you look how Wizardrope's run at DreamHack was stopped, and like how badly SUJ has been doing against Westballz. Like, man, that matchup's not that. Like, Falco has been struggling in every other facet, and Falcon's been rising, but Falco's still got Falcon's number by a considerable degree.
Yeah. I did a number. It was like 70% win rate, give or take, for Falco over Falcon, based on just games, give or take.
Yeah, I mean, that's not as bad as like what must be like a 95% win rate for ICs versus Shiek, but...
Yeah.
Puff versus Shiek also might be top 3 worst. When do Sheiks beat Puff? There's Kirby Kaze at the old Apex set against Hungrybox. And that's like it, right?
But is it really fair to consider, like, because that's like the most biased sample size because...
None of the Sheiks are as good as the H-Box.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. But also, you look at like Soft and like what he was able to do to Sheiks even, you know? And you're like, okay, this is clearly... It's clearly happening all across the board too.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just I'm like an unashamed Shiek main that actually likes Shiek.
No, I think that's fine. I know Puff thinks the matchup's horrific though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's all right, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Moving on to Mass Madness. This is a tournament that had the most surprises for me out of every tournament.
The biggest surprise is the moon. What the hell? What happened to Ryan?
So either one of 2 things happen. Either Ryan really sucks right now, or B, New England's getting a lot better.
Yeah, or a mix of both. I think it is absolutely possible. Because I think New England as a region is pretty underrated. As I've said before, Melee has this thing where it's like almost a self-fulfilling prophecy where when a community and a region gets more active and gets better tournament organization and gets more events, you randomly start seeing, well, not randomly, but you start seeing the players of that region get significantly better, right? It's a cause and effect relationship. So I'm not surprised that New England as a region is able to defend their turf now when people come over, a little bit at least, right? Whereas before they were considered really weak. Having said that, the Moon shouldn't do that for them. Like, that's ridiculous, right?
But then I'm trying to like recap how bad the Moon has been. and
Over the last like 4 months, it's been really bad.
Yeah.
It's been like I don't think he's has he done anything in 2016 at all?
Honestly, I
has
don't
he won
remember.
a single high level set?
I'm pretty sure he has, but he's definitely dropped the ball. Like I can't think. I mean, the fact that like I can't think of what he's done.
I mean, he got 49th at pound. That I remember, and that was like particularly bad.
I mean, he lost to Mafia and he lost in infinite numbers. And the strange thing about this is that he used to wreck Ice Climbers. Like he's
beat Fly.
He beat Fly. He beat Infinite. He didn't beat Infinite Numbers this time, but he's beaten Fly. He's beaten Intent Dude, and it looked like he was like one of the, the Marts that really knew the matchup.
Sure, he beat Abu at EGLX. Does that count?
I mean,
he lost to KJH the set after, but that is something he did.
I mean, I guess he beat Hugs at Xanadu.
Again, does that count?
Ooh, those are shots.
Players going at it, right?
Those are mad shots.
I'm sorry, but oh yeah, he beat there was a Super Neps he did all right in, right?
Yeah,
where he beat Hacks. That was good. That was before. That was the Swedish thing, Nebs though, right? Where he didn't end up taking it or anything. So,
but like this once again comes to the point of what level of expectations are we putting on the Moon? Where we're trying to justify that wins against Prince Abu and KGH are considered good wins.
No, he lost to KGH.
Or I mean, like,
no, that's not like. And to clarify for people, this was where last year, like, there's an argument for him to be top 20 or 25, right? He had a pretty good last year. I made that point during ranking time, right? I was like, guys, why are we counting on Moon when you look at his results from last year? 13th at Apex 2015, 7th at CEO, like 9th at SmashCon, like. He did stuff last year, right? And he won, I think, a Super Nebs 2. And so, like, last year wasn't that bad. It's just, like, the last, 6 months, if we're comparing it to last year, makes it a lot worse, right? I just looked it up. 65th at Genesis. So 65th at Genesis, 49th at Pound, and what was it, 9th at Mass Madness? Or whatever it was, like the actual placing doesn't matter. It's he lost to Mafia in infinite numbers.
Yeah, I mean these are starting to look like results that I would expect for myself more than a top 20 player.
Dude, if I was given Moon seeding, I'm not sure I would do worse, right? And I'm just being honest. Like that's when you don't want to beat anyone of significance, you do what I do at tournaments. Like you beat the people far, in the mid and low level, and then you don't beat anyone that's actually good.
So at this event, he beat Mr. Lemon and Clap, and lost to Mafia, and he lost.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's a chance I would beat Mr. Lemon and Clap, man. That's all I'm saying. But I'd probably lose to Mafia.
Yeah. Okay, so that was very questionable. I mean, the Moon has like the skill set. I just don't know what's quite going wrong for him. Like, I guess I need to watch more of his matches, but he got shut out. It wasn't even a 3-2 set in any of these. He got 3-0'd by Mafia. So, but then again, Mafia did 3-0 Zozo right after. So maybe Mafia is just getting.
Dude, Mafia actually has been getting better.
Yeah.
So we should clarify this, but that doesn't excuse anything. Like, okay, someone gets better. That's sure, but that doesn't mean they didn't just leapfrog, right? Like, sure, we expect and hope that Mafia would get better as a player, right? Yeah. But we expect the same out of Moon. Right? It's not like, let's say you look at the last year where you say Westballz has been getting better, right? But his ranking overall went down. So that's still a criticism onto Westballz because his job isn't just to get better, it's to get to be better relative to his peers, right? To be a better placing on the global rankings than he was before, right? And if you look at for Moon, if people are leapfrogging him, that's not a good sign. Even if he might argue that his skill level might have gotten better, or he just had a bad string of tournaments or whatever it is. for Mafia, for our analysis of a Mafia moonset to be simply that Mafia's gotten better, speaks also to Moon has not gotten better at the rate that Mafia has.
Yeah, and it's kind of startling because the way I see it, it's kind of like an indirect shot. Like if you're taking Melee full time compared to people that have to go to school or go to work, like you should be astronomically improving. And to see a person that Moon, going full time, I'm not sure if Mafia is going full time, but the fact that he's regressing against players that like aren't taking this full time is frankly kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean that there is that. I don't like. There's the weird thing is that we now have an era where there's a large chunk of the top player base which is full time, right? So the natural inclination, if you're not full time or you're just trying to get better, like 99% of the Smash community, is that hey, how can I catch up to the full time guys, the guys who are getting a salary for getting better at Smash Brothers? Those guys are literally have like triple the hours I do to dedicate to the game. It's you. I think that's a legitimate gripe, but. Having said that, like the way the game works, it often doesn't play out like that. You could be full time, but it's about the hours you put in. And honestly, when you get to a certain skill level and you plateau and all that, you can have as many hours as you want. But if you can't figure out what you're doing wrong, it doesn't change anything, right? And usually, the reason why people aren't good has nothing to do with how busy they are, because people usually overplay that as it is, right? They're usually not busy enough to get better than where they are, right? So I agree with that. I think that it's definitely weird for players like Hugs or Moon to be full time and and to be seeing this sort of slump. But it might have been also due. It might have been their time to plateau, because Melee has that habit where you plateau right as you're getting better, and it's super frustrating.
Yeah. So maybe this is where he is a metapod and he goes into like a better free and starts getting top 5 randomly.
I mean, I hope so. I make no secret of the fact that I'm a huge Moon fan. And when I criticize like this, it has nothing to do with the fact that I don't want to see him do well. Actually, it's because I want to see him do so well. So I hope it leads to another level. But he should know that like this should be a wake up call to him, right? That this has been now a pattern. Like you can only write it off for so long. He's got to go in the lab and start grinding it out if he really wants to continue being a pro player, right? Like keep it up and live the dream, because this sort of slip starts adding up real fast.
Yeah.
And he still has time to flip it around. He always, the way Melee is never going to die, so he technically has infinite time. But I don't think he should want this to be the story of his year and for it to slip farther into the summer.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know what it is. Maybe had some bad food. Maybe he's one of those type of players that plays down to his level of competition. I mean, we've had a few cases of that where, like the Moon, he's really smart and he like plays top level Foxes and Falcos really well, and he knows what they're gonna do and he anticipates a lot. Maybe he plays too smart for his own good. Maybe we'll see more of what his performances with different players at GOML.
Yeah. I think that the best thing he could do is, everyone has different ways of dealing with this. Some people like to take breaks when they hit a plateau. Some people like to just grind it out and fight through it. But I think the best thing he can do is make a conscious plan of how he's going to approach it. I don't know. What's worked for you in the past? Were you the break type of guy, or did you just try to grind it out?
I've always been on breaks. Like I've never consistently practiced. So if anything, I'm the type of person that probably needed to practice a lot more.
Yeah, but it was never conscious where you're like, oh man, I'm doing badly. Maybe I should take a break.
I mean, the only times I did badly, I could correlate with, because I haven't been playing. Like my biggest, power surges were first when I started practicing against Scar every day, and I made it to round 3 pulls at Pound. Pound 5. And when I started going to like every SSS, and then I started taking sets off of like Lucky, S2J, Westballz.
Yeah, you got really good. I think that's peak TAFO. Peak TAFO is definitely somewhere between SSS 20 and 25 or something.
So that was when I peaked, and it wasn't because of. I mean, I definitely think I erred on the side. I'm a weird guy. Like, I don't deserve my placings. I think I definitely should have worked harder, and I'm like the classic example of potential that was never fully realized in Smash.
Yeah, for sure. I know that feel, but I don't want to see that out of someone like Moon, right? Like I guess that's the point. I think he's got a ton of skill. Maybe he needs someone to look at his matches for him, and he should do that. I think also there's the added effect of, we talked about last episode of him and DJ the team and how their results have been getting worse over the last like few months, and I think that might affect it too, right? There's a lot of players who like they play well in teams and it carries over to singles, right? They use like teams as like the singles primer, right? It gets them warmed up, it gets them feeling the tournament groove, and hey, they get to have a collaborative experience with their partner, so that it helps them get into a good tournament mentality, going into it. So I think it might also have a cascading effect.
Yeah.
Speaking of DJ, at that Mass Madness, DJ won.
Do we really think it's that impressive? I mean, like, there's always the weight of expectations, right? Like, if you told me his bracket was Captain Crunch into Zozo into infinite numbers, I would tell you that DJ Nintendo should probably be winning that.
He should be winning, but I think that winning something he should be winning is still impressive. Like Zoso and Infinite Numbers. I mean, Infinite Numbers, we gotta give the guy credit at some point, right? Like between his pound placing and what he did at Mass Madness, he's legit.
He's legit, but we're putting DJ Nintendo on the assumption that he's top 30 to 40.
Yeah, and a top 30 to 40 player should win that tournament. Correct. In fact, it's more shocking that Moon wasn't there with him.
Yeah.
That's the shocking part.
But to play devil's advocate and not play too much harshness, like they go to every event, and for the most part, when they go to a Xanadu or they go to a New England event or a Tri-State event, they tend to win them or they tend to get to finals. So
yeah, maybe
this is the anomaly here for the Moon in terms of local events. Because whenever I look at results in those regions, the Moon and DJ tend to do very well.
Yeah, so that is fair. Is that they put themselves out there a lot, which I really respect, right? We can be critical of them because we have a lot of data.
Yes,
and that's awesome. I like that they put themselves out there and they take those chances. So that's good. I think it's good. It'll be interesting to watch DJ. DJ, it feels like he almost always gets the results you expect him to get. So he doesn't have that Moon aspect where, sometimes the Moon will have this sort of slip up, right? But he also will have extremely good wins or like periods like he did last year. So there's more variance. DJ, it's almost like his results are scripted, right? Where you look at his bracket, you click projected, and that's where DJ lines up, right? And if you click projected at Mass Madness, DJ Nintendo wins that tournament. So
yeah, although he's had some minor slip ups. Who did he lose to at EGLX again? The Falco man. He was like a Falco Canadian guy. He didn't look bad at all. It was like started with a T, Trillion or something.
Trillion. He's the guy who commentated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is a good example. So it does happen, but in general, I still think that. And he lost to Duck 2-1. So yeah, he lost to Duck and Trillion, I guess. Yeah. Trillium.
Yeah. All right.
That is a bad loss, but I still think like the result he ended up with, because he ended up going through losers and then losing a Duck, is where we expect him, right? No, it's not super unexpected.
I always thought DJ's core strengths was like his peak skill against really fast players, Fox, Falco, Falcon, come out to mind. Like he doesn't tend to do well, but against like the low tiers and the mid tiers, I always felt that DJ did really well against them. So
Yeah, I think he just understands that because he plays a lot of characters. So he's really good at exploiting character weaknesses.
yeah,
And exploiting why his character is really good. So he's like a very game plan centered player. Like you talk to him about anything in Smash, and you realize that the way he approached the game is game plan, right?
yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me. Matchups where that's more important, he finds more success. And matchups like Fox Falco, I could see him losing sets, right?
Yeah.
Because it's yes, there's a game plan, but man, things happen in that matchup. Like you just gotta kind of be on the ball and improvise sometimes to keep up with Falco as Fox.
I agree. So it's going to be interesting. DJ, he's probably one of the most interesting players to rate. I think he kind of goes underrated because, like you said, he's consistent and you expect him to go where exactly you think he's going to be.
Sure. So, and there's going to be variance here or there, but it's definitely much more. He's much more consistent than the Moon, at least lately.
What'd you think about Socal tournaments this weekend?
So there was Mayhem and then there was SSS. The SSS had Hugs, Fly Manita, so sick.
Yeah.
And Westballz as like the top three. And then Mayhem also had MacD. I don't think it had Fly, but it had the rest. So it was interesting. That I didn't catch Mayhem, so you can do that coverage. But SSS was crazy to see Fly back. I think that was definitely a highlight, and Hugs at least making grand finals was good for him because he really needed that. So
I think the interesting narrative this weekend was Hugs and I have been going back and forth, and I made a quip saying that I didn't think Hugs was very good against Shiek or me, but on Saturday at Mayhem he lost a captain face roll in Reno.
Right, you're right, because after Mayhem, he lost to two Shieks, and then he said he went home and studied the matchup, and then he 3-0'd face roll at SSS, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the big advantages of the double Mayhem SSS weekends, where you go to Mayhem and you could do well or whatever, and then you could take that data and you're playing often the exact same players the very next day and keep it going. We only have those doubleheader weekends, I think, like a couple times a year usually. But when they happen, it at least allows for that opportunity.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I wish Hugo did more of. Whenever he studies a matchup and he preps, he does really well. And the example I'd like to bring up is when he played Axe and he beat him at EVO.
Still one of the biggest upsets of the last year and a half.
And sometimes I just wish, he would do that more often as opposed to talking about like the top 10 like hottest smashers. I think he, out of everybody,
I appreciate his sub count and the sub money he is bringing to the wonderful company of Twitch.tv. Let him continue to talk about his nonsense. But I think on the side, it would help if he studied matchups. Yes.
I mean, if he got fourth at one of these tournaments, that'd be a month's worth of sub money, right?
Sure, but we wouldn't be getting half.
You're right.
I'm trying to be a company man here, dude.
But what if more people were drawn to support Hugo from him winning?
Yeah,
or do people don't care about him winning?
People love Hugo no matter what, I think.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth. I think people really love him.
You're right. But,
Hugo win or loss, I love him like literally the exact same. So.
Actually, it's actually funny when Hugo loses.
Yeah.
I think it's actually funnier when Hugo loses, and so I can sub to him and say, "Sorry for the loss, mate. Here's some money to support your losses."
Exactly. So he's got that. He's got a pretty good gig. I think that the best position you could be in as a player is when your fans love it when you win and they love it when you lose.
So the mango.
Huh?
The mango.
No, the Mango fans don't.
Wait, no, Mango. We all hate it when Mango loses. I'm sorry about that. Well, we still love Mango despite him losing, I guess, was what I was thinking.
So that's the key, right? But they still get depressed, right? Hugo fans actually legit don't get depressed when he loses, I don't think. I think they laugh at Hugo.
Dude, laughing at Hugo is one of my favorite pastimes.
So yeah, so it's like a win-win. It's like a
like
win no matter what happens.
And it's the best when he can't make fun of you back because you're 8-1 against him in sets.
I see. Yeah, that's true. That would be nice.
Anyway, so let's move forward. So I think that was the story of the weekend. Oh no, MacD beating Westballz is actually pretty significant.
Oh right, what are we talking about? Mayhem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. That's crazy.
And
MacD just continues to get better. It just seems to be a part of the general trend. It's a shame. I kind of wanted to go to SSS because I would love to see if he could follow that up. I also thought that this was probably if Hugs was ever going to win an SSS in his entire career, it would have been this one, right? Fly then West, like a Rusty Fly then West. Like that sounds like a dream for him, right?
Yeah.
And he still doesn't get it, right?
Yeah.
So it makes me think, do you think Hugo's ever going to win an SSS? Is that ever going to happen?
Honestly, I don't think so.
Never.
Because the group of people underneath Hugo are only getting stronger. So you have the face rolls, the Kiras, the Connor. They're all improving a lot. And how often do we have an SSS where this many top players are missing?
Yeah. Never. And the list of people who've won SSS is still like you can count it on two hands, right? And once you take out like the one-time winners, it's like the same 4 or 5 people, right?
Yeah.
So it's been really hard to win it. And the one I'm more surprised at still MacD hasn't taken one, right? Like, and that's why I wanted to go to this one because I thought he also could have taken his first SSS victory if he had gone.
Yeah, we went to an escape room instead.
Yeah, I heard you guys. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It was really fun, by the way. We scheduled it a month in advance because that escape room fills up really fast, and we didn't think there was going to be a tournament that day.
Okay, that's sick. Yeah, I hear there might be one in Toronto. I might.
Oh, shouts to one player, Mix, who's a high school student that got 7th place.
Oh yeah, dude, we had Mix in top 8. That's crazy. Good shout to him. Big shout out. That's so sick.
All right, should we move on to this week?
Yeah, GOML preview. I think last week we had a lot of tournaments, but this week all eyes on GOML.
So I don't think anything particularly new stands out in my head in regards to this event. I mean, I think Leffen's stock drops dramatically from last week, even though he wins. He won last week.
Well, I think there's a lot of this is maybe the most exciting event of the year in terms of storylines. I think Genesis obviously was also really exciting in the storyline of Mango versus Armada. But going into it, we'll be honest, no one thought that would happen. It just happened.
Yeah.
So it was more of like a day of storyline where we're all just shocked that this is even happening, right? But the lead up to this event, I think, is crazy. Summit was also really cool because the Xbox Armada rivalry. This one, like, so many different things going at it. We have our HBox and Armada. First of all, we have the HBox Mango thing from DreamHack, where we're wondering, hey, can Mango is this the thing now? Is he going to keep winning, or does HBox still have his number? We can get to that in a second. We have, hey, is Armada going to keep it up? Is he going to continue this into a dominant summer and potentially leading into Evo? We have Leffen's return, which just throws a wrench into everything, as everyone knows. And we actually have a tournament where there's no Plup or Axe. So that second tier of who's going to make top 8 is much more opened up. And I'm super curious to see where they go. Let alone one of the most exciting and anticipated doubles top fours that we've seen, which is also going to be exciting. I might be even more excited for doubles than I am singles.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. To speak on the projected brackets, you guys can check that out on SmashGG. I'm going to link it into the chat just so people know what we're talking about at the time. We have Leffen seeded 5th, so he is going to be facing King before top 8, before winners top 8, that is. So there is a chance that he could have an EGLX situation where he makes it to winners quarters, loses to a top player, and then when he heads into losers, he could face a variety of different players. And actually, his little corner of losers bracket, assuming he loses to King, which I don't think he necessarily will, but we could flip this and analyze it on King's end as well.
Yeah,
it's super stacked. There is PewPewU, Wizrobe, Nintendo, and None all in that little chunk, and he could. I could feasibly see any of those players coming out of that. I think it's likely going to be Wizrobe. I think Wizrobe is likely going to beat Nintendo and will likely also beat PewPewU. Or I guess None could beat PewPewU, and then it could be Wizrobe None, which I still take Wizrobe, right? So I think to make top 8, it's going to be Leffen Wizrobe, and I like Leffen's chances in that. So I think he will end up making it, assuming he drops in losers. If King drops in losers, I also like his chances to take that. So I think we're going to actually see a 5-god top 8. Or 5, if you don't want to call Leffen a god because historical reasons, a 5 top 6, top 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you agree? Do you think they're all going to make it?
I mean, my biggest worry is like actually Leffen, and maybe this is where the Moon just mysteriously steps it up and just wins against.
Oh, you're looking at winners round 1. You think Moon could take out Leffen?
I mean, there's that like odd shot because what kind of practice has Leffen gone against Marth in the past 6 months?
I guess the players he's been playing against on his stream, he hasn't really had any Marths, huh?
Yeah, and that's always been kind of a question mark matchup for Leffen. There was a point where we thought Leffen got it, when he was trying to beat King, but then it's always been a big question mark for me is how does Leffen consistently beat Marth, and I'm not convinced that he does.
I see. Someone's pointing out that Wizzy will only be in that portion of the bracket if he loses to Hugs in the previous portion. So Wizzy might not even be down there. Yeah, he's not going to lose to Hugs. So that's a good point. That's a good point. That would then put Wizzy against Armada in winners, which if he loses that, he would go to losers and replace wherever Hugs is.
Yeah.
Then, it would be him versus Swedish. That's also crazy. Jeez.
I think this bracket's like winners is kind of reasonable, but the permutations and losers make it so hard to tell if this is actually the losers bracket because
also the projected's weird. I don't like this. There's been a few problems with the projection with SmashGG. They know it. They just haven't fixed it yet. But I'm looking at some of the projected wins and losers, and I just disagree. I think it'd be cool if we could almost like how you make build fancy brackets.
Yeah.
If we could do that on SmashGG, I might actually pitch them that, just so we could like fill out a projected of our own, so we can analyze it a little bit better.
Yeah, that'd be really sick. I think it'd be fun for me. It'd be fun for me as an analyst to do that.
I think that could be the evolution of fantasy, right? Is instead of you fantasy, you just pick like 10 players, you do a whole bracket, and whatever percentage you're right on is how well you did. Now that would take super skill, right? You'd have to be a analyst god.
But like 2 upsets would ruin your whole bracket.
Yeah, sure.
Imagine if you did that for Pound 2016. Just like imagine like infinite numbers ruining.
No one would win. I think someone with like a 40% bracket would win.
You would have to go into the fans of infinite numbers to find the highest placing bracket.
I think infinite numbers might win that fantasy because he would put himself as like winning the tournament or something, just for fun, and he would just win the fantasy. So that's a little bit weird, but regardless, we have Armada on one side. We have Lucky SFAT and Shroom PewPewU as like maybe the most interesting of the first round matches. Do you think PewPewU has any shot against Shroom? Do you like it, or do you think that's going to be Shroom?
I give PewPewU a 15% shot if it's a best of 5, which I assume it's going to be the case.
Well, I hope it is if it's not. Yeah, I would say it's a very low percent chance. I would say like 20% to be nice to him. But yeah, it's I don't like his chances. Lucky SFAT. That's always been a coin flip. Who do you got?
Who and who? Sorry.
Lucky and SFAT.
Oh. I'm gonna give it to SFAT, and it's gonna be kind of arbitrary why, but I think SFAT's been in Canada for at least a week, so I think he's a lot more acclimated to the area, and so I don't think the travel jitters are gonna play a role, and I think that will be enough to be a difference maker in who wins that.
That's a reasonable reason. I think that's fine. I don't think like the way I look at it is I actually think that in terms of base skill, I find SFAT to be the better player. Like I expect a certain level of performance from SFAT, and he usually delivers it. But I think Lucky's a more clutch player, and he's a better tournament threat. And his peak is probably a little bit higher than Zach's. So that in that way, there's a variance. And I still call it a coin flip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's close. I think my only concern for Lucky is how he continues to choose non-optimal combo trees, and I think that really rears its ugly head. I forget what set exactly it came up in, where Lucky was doing combos, and then the combo would end, and then the other guy was just hitting harder. And I always thought that was going to be more and more of an issue as the other foxes standardized their combos, and you see Lucky not chain grabbing, doing up smashes, and trying to go for reads.
Do you have any Canadian making top 8?
Honestly, no. I just think that
Actually, right? I literally think it's impossible. I put it at 7% chance.
we look at it, and you already have 5 of the big 6, and then you would have to say that none outplaces a truckload. I mean, none's definitely been stepping it up, and I have to give him respect for that. But for him to get that far is asking a lot of him.
Like 4 wins and losers, or 1 win and winners and 2 wins and losers against players that are considered better than him.
Yeah, and then I guess the 2 other players that come to mind are I don't think KK is going to this event, but if you have Fork and Kage, I just don't think Kage can do it. And Fork,
I mean, that's really the hope, right? Like there's no one else that can really raise that banner, which is weird, like Canada's always been a really strong region. Like there was a period of time, like you remember what was it, ROM 4, where we had a winter semis that was supposed to be, before it was floated, of Ryan Ford versus KK, and we had that big era of like the big 5 of Canada, where it's Kage, IB, KK, Raynex, and Ryan Ford. And then even still, like they started adding players like None to the mix, and they became even stronger. And you talk about V wins, BAM. Like Canada has historically been an extremely powerful region, like extremely powerful region. Is this the weakest they've ever been? Or at least in the last like 5 years, I think it might be.
I would have to agree with you because like you said, they've added None, but they've lost so much in the past year. Where Raynex, Weon, Unknown have dropped off, relatively speaking. KK is largely retired and nowhere near the skill level he was last year. V wins, BAM, a large flux of players have just retired, or they don't really travel much anymore. So I think, yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened to that. Like, maybe that'll be my investigative report of this weekend. Is I'm going to talk to some Canadian players. Like, what happened to all their players? They had like a ton of players that were like top 50 in the world. Like literally over like almost 10 that were that good. Like, and I don't know if they have more than 1 now, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a huge drop off. So it's insane. The Canada crew that used to exist was one of the strongest, right?
Yeah.
So, It's super weird how that happened. And it's interesting now that like we're in a 2016 where it feels like every tournament's in Texas or Canada. And,
Yeah.
And so maybe this will spark them up because GOML is going to be a very good weekend for Canada. So hopefully this will spark some fires because it sounds like they need it.
I think the mid-level. I like nationals in alternate regions because it provides that burst of encouragement. As long as they know that there are future nationals that are going to continue to run in the future. Because if you're a mid-level or low-level player, then you have a benchmark, especially if you don't have money to travel to say, hey, by next year GOML, I want to make it to top 96, and it pushes the region. So I did go to Montreal about a couple weeks ago, and there were some players that were stepping it up, and as a region, they were very hungry, and they do have decent community members. And I can imagine that there's probably multiple regions within Canada that are feel the same way, where maybe their top players have disappeared, but you have a strong influx of low to mid-level players that could become like the mid-level to mid-high level players next year.
Sure, but that's just a long process, right? I think also it'll naturally take them longer if those top players aren't shepherding them in, right?
Yeah, I mean the way
that top tier of Canada was so strong before. I think it's a shame if they lose it.
Yeah, especially because they're very helpful in giving advice.
They're like the coolest guys.
Yeah.
I love all the Canadian top players. They're like so cool. That's what makes me hype about this event. I've actually hadn't gone to a Canadian event up until now. It's one of the only regions that I hadn't gone to for a Smash tournament. So
I think because like you lose a KK and you lose a lot. But the way I see it's analogous to with Major League Baseball with the farm system, and if somehow like your draft prospects in the AA league disappear, it really becomes noticeable a couple years in the future of the damages that brings to your team.
Yeah, absolutely. Though the difference between this and regular sports is the worse you get as a region, you don't actually get a better draft pick. In Smash, the worse you get as a region, often you just continue to get worse as a region. It doesn't help unless like some god TO like just steps up and fixes things. But in Smash, it kind of just keeps piling on downwards, right? Which is where I personally think that crew battles as an esports format for Smash is arguably like our optimal format. Like it's crew battles are super sick, right? And everyone loves watching them consistently.
Yes.
And the best way to do them is regionally, but because of how, like, an NBA team, sure, they're the San Antonio Spurs, but their players aren't actually from San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
and the way Smash regions are split up, naturally bigger metropolitan areas are always just going to be better, right? And we don't have no real even out system because you can't trade Mango out of Socal. That's just not how it works. So.
That'd be funny if that became a thing. I'm trying to think. I don't have any bold predictions for this event, and we did kind of talk about GOML last week. Did we go over who we thought were going to win? I mean, I picked Armada.
I don't think we did. Do you actually have it as like a predictable event? Do you think it's going to be like Armada HBox?
That's a good question. Gosh, I wish I could whisper it into Mango's ear before he plays his like winners semis match. Like, Mango, every set counts, and don't tilt if something stupid happens to you. I wish I could just like whisper those two things before he plays his match in winners, where like there's a plausible chance that he could lose.
Yeah, I think that like for Mango's key to actually like winning the tour, but not just going far, is he really has to get better in winners, right? Like he can't keep going down on losers, man. Like the set, he also has like a scary road because he has Westballz in his path. If he loses there, like it's gonna be such a long road. Like this tournament is way too stacked to go to losers that early. And if he somehow makes the Hunger Box, a loss there would also hurt his chances a lot. End of the day, the Mango HBox set I think is the set to watch for the entire tournament. I want to see if their dynamic is actually shifted, or if man, it was so close, right? Like I have a hard time saying it's going to be anything different because HBox is still heavily up, right?
Yeah.
And it felt like
It's
that last
4-6.
It's 4-6, but a lot of those are Xbox losing in first set and then winning in second set, right?
Yeah.
Basically, this is the one that Mango straight up won, and he hadn't won against Xbox since just straight up beat him. Like when was the time before that?
And well, he took a set at Battle of the Five Gods, but then ended up losing.
Ended up losing, right?
And then there's one other set that I'm missing that he's won this year, but ended up losing the tournament. I can't think of it.
Yeah, point is it was like over 6 months, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if I look and he loses to Westballz, then the projected bracket has him playing SFAT, then Shroomed, and then Leffen, and then Mutaking, and then Hungrybox into Armada, which is not easy. Like, that will easily go into the top 3 or top 4 of his best losers bracket runs if he somehow managed that.
Yeah. I think that it would. It's gonna be a tough road for Mango. I think that I'd be shocked if he beats even if he beats HBox. I think Armada is way too much. Like it might be too much for him. Like I don't see a game plan still. Like in terms of characters and stages and all that for him to really overcome that hump. On Armada's side of things, weird to say, but his biggest threat might be Mutaking.
Yeah.
If Mutaking performs like Summit again, it is totally possible. And I do like Mutaking's chances against Leffen. So we are lining up for Mutaking Armada. And I suspect, at least at winners, Mutaking's going to go Marth, right? So that's where I'd be afraid for him. And of course, that's before he eventually would likely play HBox, which I should revise my statement. HBox is still his biggest threat. But yeah, Armada, I don't think this is as strong of a tournament win for him as some of the others, right?
Yeah.
Because HBox has been improving. Sure, he got second at DreamHack. We all know it was a close set. But on the whole, you look at the his graph over the last 7 months, and HBox continues to get better. And it's not like his win, Armada's win over HBox at Summit was particularly convincing, right? So
I thought those sets were pretty convincing, to be honest.
Did you?
I mean, it just felt like even if the highlight of me was a Dreamland match where it seems like Hungrybox couldn't get anything going. Like if you were to ask me, how's Hungrybox going to get an opening on Armada, I would have no clue how to answer that question.
Yeah. I think it's one weird thing is a trend of HBox losing on Dreamland, right? He lost to Mutaking and he lost to Mango on Dreamland at DreamHack. So that'll be interesting to see if that holds up. So if I'd give a prediction, let's do percentages first. I would say Armada 40% to win this tournament. I usually go way higher on him because I do believe he's the best in the world. But I think it's like a 40%. I'll give HBox a 20. Okay, I should actually make these percents way higher. Let's give Armada 50, HBox a 25, and then Mango Mutaking each 10, and then the field the rest.
I'm giving Mango a significantly higher percentage than Mutaking.
Really interesting. Why?
Are you I just can't see a world where Mutaking wins this. Like I know I've been harsh, but if he loses at any point in winners, he's done.
There's that, but Mango has the opposite effect of his winners being worse. Like don't you think that Mutaking's potential chances against Armada are better than Mango's at this event?
No.
No, okay. That's actually, you know what? You might be right. Considering Genesis, you might be right.
The main reason here is that I think the logic of Meateking doing better in winners and Mango doing better in losers, what that tells me is that Meateking's going to get more consistent placings. Like he's going to get like third or fifth every time, but Mango has greater chance of winning, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But he also has a greater chance of also getting ninth.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, that's true. I think Mango Westballz is going to set the tone for the tournament because West can do it, though. We've been speaking of both Axe and West's mini slumps also. So I think it's a barometer check for West as well. He really needs at least a top 8 at this event.
Yeah. It'd be so funny if Westballz lost to Prince Abu.
Is that possible? Is that like projected at any point?
I think that's like the match before Ice.
Dude, he could lose that.
I would laugh so hard if that happened.
Straight up, he could lose that.
But
he could like absolutely lose that. Like I think that's a tight one. Like I don't think that is a very West favorite at all. Like West against Puff is not good.
I mean, he might just go Fox, but Prince Abu.
I still don't think it's good.
Prince Abu put in a lot of work at Summit. Did you watch those money matches that he did against players?
Yeah, no, he's good. He's just straight good. And he's getting better because everyone's playing with him, and he's going to everything.
Yeah.
So, no, Abu could do that. Abu can win that. Tarkwood says Westballz will not lose to Abu. WTF? All right, Tarkwood. It might not happen. We're not saying it's going to happen, but I think that it's way more likely than you think, homie.
We would not be surprised if it did happen. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I would say it's not the.
What do you think the percentages are? What do you think?
I would say he has like a 25% shot of winning it.
And then I would actually elevate to 35.
Ooh, that's high. That's like 1 out of 3 times. Roughly.
Yeah, I think so. Dude, like West doesn't like West against Puff, man. I've seen him against like Dendy, man. It's not.
I think West lost to. They just mentioned it on the stream. I feel like West lost to Prince Abu before, or 4%. One of those 2 puffs. I think he's lost to last year.
West's losses are hard to keep track of. I think you'll agree. So I think West obviously favor for that. It's his road is not going to be easy this tournament. Like he's got Ice lined up if he beats Abu, he could lose that. Mango then obviously not favored to win that, but that's one of his better matchups of the gods, so he should be happy he at least drew that one.
Yeah.
And then if he goes to losers, I mean the losers is just a pit of a lot of players he has a chance of losing to. So, what do you say? Do you think West is gonna make top 8, or do you not see it in the cards?
I think if he can get to Mango, at least he gets top 8. And so given that he has Prince Abu into likely Ice, I think that's a very favorable bracket for him to get top 8. So I will say yes, I believe Westballz will get top 8.
Yeah. If I was betting on it, I actually think he will. Because I agree. I think Ice it's a bad draw for Ice. He seems to be getting West a lot. Whatever it is. It's kind of sad to see him travel all the time and just get West over him. And I don't think it's a particularly good draw for Ice. So I'm going to say West wins that. And I still think West is the favorite against Abu. So I think he wins that. And Mango's a good God matchup for him. Even if he loses there, he still has to win one more set, which might be Shroomed.
No, it's going to be SFAT.
Oh, SFAT. And then
most likely.
So SFAT, and I like him there. So, yeah. So I think that he'll probably make it.
Yeah.
So I see him as like a 7th placer. So I don't. If it ends up being Shroomed West and losers, I see him probably losing that. So a lot of contingencies. The losers bracket is super hard to predict in this event. But yeah, West probably makes it. But there's that chance with that he does far worse.
Yeah, and that's in the nature of brackets, right? Because when I look at this, like West, I can see West getting 4th too.
Yeah, he absolutely could.
And I think that's the one thing that bugs me when somebody comes and says like, well, your prediction was way off. Like I'll tell you right now that there is a realm where Wes can get fourth here if he beats Mango and fights Leffen. I think it's very favorable for him to like advance to as high as fourth. So let me just put the record out there. Very likely, I think he's probably going to get around seventh ish.
Yeah, I think there's 3 players in this event which he absolutely cannot beat, and a few that he's unfavorable against. So I don't think he can beat Armada. I don't think he beat HBox, and I would be shocked if he beat Mewtwo King.
You know, I could actually see him getting third at this. No, actually, no. I'm not going to go
You
that far.
think those 3 players he straight can't beat, right?
Yeah, fourth.
So fourth is his peak, and then there's a few that like I don't like. Like it's probably just really hard for him, or he's probably disfavored. But you know he can do it. But he doesn't destroy the next tier of players strong enough, like hard enough, right? So that's why I still think 13th is equally as possible.
Yeah,
as fourth.
And for some reason, I see Swedish Delight actually getting to Westballz in that top 12, where he could beat Fork into beating Hugs into beating SVAT, possibly.
So how do they have Swedish and losers?
Because they have him losing to Duck.
He's not on Duck.
He lost to Duck last time.
He actually loses to Duck normally.
He lost to Duck the last 2 times.
Yeah, Duck is good at that matchup. So my natural reflex is always same as Shiek. I pick the Shiek. It's like a reflex of mine. But Duck's hella good. What can you say? So yeah. If I think though, if he beats Duck and he plays Mango, that could be the set of the tournament.
Yeah. So there's too many variables, and I don't want to like outright say anything.
Do your pick of the tournament. Who's winning?
What was that?
Who's winning? Who do you got winning?
I already think Armada's winning.
I hate to do the conventional pick. I like to do sexy stuff, but I think it's an Armada win.
Like, Armada is like the Warriors if the Warriors had Cleveland's bracket.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah. That's actually an apt analogy. Cleveland seeded better than any team ever in any professional anything ever. Because of the Eastern Conference.
So that's the way I see it. And just like the thing is like Mango, Hungrybox are going to have to fight it out, and that decreases their chances of winning because one of them's by default going to have to come back and win 2 sets against Armada.
Yeah. I think Armada winning is extraordinarily likely because of that fact. Like him losing winners would have to be against Mewtwo or HBox, which is possible. Absolutely. I think the whole tone of the event will be different if Leffen ends up making it to semis. Do you agree? Like I think like then everything goes in the air because Leffen in actual form, if he makes it to semis, that means he beat Moon and probably Mewtwo King. Leffen in actual form could change this entire situation up.
Yeah.
And then you know if in Armada's case like. You'd be seeing a Fox Ditto, and anything happens, man.
So, I mean, I could see it. I think the interesting case here, and my biggest worry for Armada, if we're ever to say like he could lose, is that we're gonna have something like Battle of the 5 Gods, where his Fox never really warmed up, and it never got into peak shape, and it just got bopped.
So Tarkwood says we are doing boring predictions. I think you're right, man. Can we both make an upset of the event? Can we say what do you if you're gonna look at this and you're saying what is going to happen? Name an upset, Tafo, that you think is going to be different than the projected.
Let's see. Let me just take a look at the bracket. I mean, I already see some ones I definitely don't think. I think Swedish Delight's gonna mollywop Hugs if that were to ever happen.
Okay, that doesn't count. All
right, what level of upset are we talking about here?
We're talking about the biggest one you see, the biggest one you think that's different than what an average consensus statistical opinion would be.
I think Shroom could beat Hungrybox.
Shroom could beat Hungrybox. Interesting. There you go.
I mean, if I were to pick like something that I would maybe bet on. If I got odds, I would say that.
So why do you think that Hungerlock hasn't lost to a Shiek ever, but Shroom does good?
That's the way I would see it. And then I guess if I were to really pick an upset, I would also pick PewPewU over Westballz. I think that could very likely happen.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. If I pick an upset, I would pick Swedish over Mango.
Swedish over Mango?
Yeah. This is saying Swedish beats Duck, which already would be crazy. But Swedish Mango could happen, in my opinion. That guy is extremely good. Especially like at tech chasing, and Mango's had some struggles with Shiek in the past. I could totally see Swedish doing that, and continue a run. So
all right, actually, I got an upset.
Go ahead.
Professor Pro over MacD.
Oh.
So if I were to pick a realistic upset that could happen, I would say that.
I think you're right. No, actually, I don't know. Why? So why do you say that? What's his? Do you know his record against Peaches?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I guess when I think of a PM player that plays Fox, they have this certain style of I am not going to get hit or else I'm going to die, because that's how PM functions if you're a spacey. And I feel like that playstyle really counters MacD, who can easily get frustrated because Professor Pro is just kind of like running around not getting hit. Because the Foxes that like MacD tends to beat are the ones that kind of go at MacD, and he's able to find a trade, but Professor Pro may not give him that trade opportunity. And then I can see MacD throwing a dash attack, getting up smashed, or getting shot out of shield into up smash and getting really frustrated. Let me get my charger, by the way.
Yeah. I got to charge my laptop too, so I'm gonna too. Un minuto stream. We gotta make sure nothing shuts down on us.
That would suck if mine shut down. I'm at 7%. I got the warning light.
Oh no.
But that would be my prediction.
If Kage versus Duck happens, what do you got? You think
If
Kage has a chance?
I think Kage will destroy Duck.
Really?
Dude, Bizarro Flame.
Even when the skill gap is that big?
Bizarro Flame destroyed Duck.
Did he win?
Pound.
Oh. Kage's way better than Bizarro.
Yeah.
So for Duck, is it better for him to lose the Swedish and not get Kage? Is that what you're saying?
Well, are we betting on Kage being my case?
Oh, I see. No, Kage is not beating my case.
You know, I actually thought about doing that.
I think he might, dude. He might beat my case.
I mean, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Kage won, but there's so many variables that I wouldn't ever want to throw a match. The reason being is I thought about doing the same thing at Evo, where I think if I lost to None, then I would have gone Eichelman into a bunch of people into Azen to get into top 32. That was my projected bracket. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking like, okay, that might be the most likely case for me to get into top 32. And then and then my match happened first. I ended up beating None, and then Fly ended up losing to Azen. And so if I had lost to None, I would have had to fight Fly Amanita to get out. And so sometimes you can get a little too cute with trying to throw a match so that you get a better route to a higher placing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think that's ever a good idea. If I'm winning is always better, is the strat. Though, I mean, that's just getting too statistical, I think. But yeah, also, Druggedfox versus Duck. That is crazy. I have Duck winning that by a mile, actually.
You don't think Druggedfox can just go Shiek?
I don't think he will. There's a difference.
Let's put it this way. I actually think that Druggedfox...
Even if he goes Shiek, I don't know if he wins.
Ooh. I can kind of see that. You know, what was it? The last time I saw him play a Samus was at Paragon LA, where one of the matches he actually got 3-stocked by Hugo.
I definitely don't think his Fox is beating Duck. I do remember his Fox doing well.
I think Druggedfox would have the best chance.
Wait, wasn't it against who was it at Battle of the Five Gods? He did well, right?
He played against Axe, MacD, and Mango. No Samus in there.
You're right, but I was surprised how well he did against Axe, and that was kind of like usually when I think of a new Fox player. Well, he's not really. He's been playing Fox for most of his competitive career, so it's like it's a weird situation with him. But.
Yeah, and so I think actually this is going to be a little bit weird, but if Druggedfox actually went Falco, I wouldn't mind that. I think his laser control is very suffocating on Samus's, and I think he plays the matchup really smart.
Okay, so do you think if it happened, Duck versus Druggedfox, would you take Druggedfox?
What character does he go?
Doesn't matter.
Oh man, this is tough. I mean, I wish he just stuck to one character, and I guess he said that he's going to stick to Fox, and if he's going to stick to Fox, actually, if he goes Fox, I don't even think he makes it to Duck.
No, I don't. I think he loses to Ice.
I mean, maybe this is a non-question. Like, I think Ice beats him in a Fox Ditto.
I agree. He might also lose to Ryan Ford in Fox Ditto.
Yeah. So I mean, I love Druggedfox's neutral game. I think it's very smart and well thought out. But in the case of Ice, I just think that Ice knows the matchup too well, and he's just going to outpunish Druggedfox.
There's also Moon and Druggedfox playing in winners. That's how he even falls to that place in the first place.
This is where I wish he just had Shiek and just went Shiek in certain matchups, because Druggedfox has historically beaten the Moon in Shiek Marth, and it hasn't really been an issue for Druggedfox in a while. Fox is really dicey. I'm not very confident.
I think that it's. I mean, I harp on this a lot, but I think when you get so good with one character, and especially in Druggedfox's case, where he played Fox for like 7 years and got decent results. Like, people underrate how good his results were before that point, because there was that one ROM where he did well, but for the most part, mediocre results. Decent but mediocre results, you know? And then he switched to Shiek, and almost immediately jumps to becoming a top 20 player, or arguably better. There was a time where I was like, "Oh, is he top 15? What's going on?" Right? And then he switches off the character, and it feels like he's back to being a top 30, 40 player, or even worse potentially. So it's really frustrating. Like, he got so good with the character, and now he's not going to use it. It's like having a nuclear weapon in his disposal, and he's just like not going to even put it out there.
Yeah,
especially in certain matchups, right? Like, now the Moon is really good against Shiek, but like, I like it better than his Fox would be.
I mean, to be honest, I don't even know what characters the Moon is good against right now.
Oh, well, that's a good point. Okay, so that goes to an overarching point. We spent a lot of this episode talking about the Moon. Do you see him flaming out this event, or is this his comeback?
I don't know what it is. I actually have a gut instinct telling me that this is going to be his comeback tournament.
There's something in my gut, and maybe it's my love of Ryan telling me that this is his comeback.
I think this is his comeback tournament.
I like his bracket. If he's going to make a comeback, it's this bracket. Plus, I think he's pissed off.
Yeah.
I think he's like, you don't do a Mass Madness like that and not be pissed, right? Like, he's too much of a competitor.
Yeah.
So I'm sure at least the last week he's been grinding.
So, I mean, and Ryan has a good head on his shoulders. Like, I think he bounces back here. Or I'm going to look like an idiot. I forgot who was the version of it last year where, like, I bet on this. If he loses this event, he's like the 2016 version of 2014 Westballz, where I'm betting on Westballz every event, and Westballz loses. Yeah.
You know what I see in the project that could be one of the most interesting is KJH versus MacD. KJH is really good against Peach.
Well, how the hell does he play Professor Pro and KGH? Can you explain that to me? Oh, is that in losers?
Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say that's like a really tough bracket to top 32 if that was the case.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just a super stacked tournament overall. Like,
yeah.
what is it like?
I think, if I were to ever pick these like kind of coin flippy 50-50s, I always give to the favor that of the player that chokes less. So sorry Druggedfox, sorry KGH, sorry PewPewU, sorry SFAT. Like the people that are in these close 50-50s, like I feel this is where the veteran experience really comes in.
Sure.
And my biggest worry for Druggedfox is that he's like the lower tier SFAT in my opinion. The Druggedfox is the guy that should have a lot more top 15 wins than he actually does, but he somehow mysteriously chokes every time in game fives. Like he finds a new way to throw matches, and it surprises me how he throws away matches. It's like he forgets how to play melee in game five, and like when it's down to two stock versus two stock, I feel like I'm watching random Fox player at that point.
Yeah, he's got to just scrape and scrape to get those wins. Yeah, I'm not like I think, and I love Druggedfox Sammy as a melee mind. I think that I was a big believer as he was rising up near that ACC throwdown time. But ever since his character stuff that he's been going through in the last like 6 months that he's been experimenting with, I don't think he's a safe bet for any match. Any match against a moderately skilled opponent. Yeah, I have a hard time betting on him right now. I don't think you throw characters away, and I don't think that the whole idea of, hey, I got to go one character per tournament really meets merit anymore in 2016. If all these other top players can do it, why can't he? Like he has this amazing trump card of being able to play so many characters at top level, but he doesn't use it. I don't get it.
Yeah, so it's tough. Maybe he's looking at it in the long haul, where he's actually doing legitimate multi-tournament conditioning, where he's trying to, give his Fox the reps he needs for the large summer tournaments. Who knows? Maybe that's.
Who knows? I don't know what his Fox solves though. If I'm being honest,
Yeah.
Like maybe he's worried about Puff or something. I don't know. But the stuff in his path that Shiek was taking care of just fine.
Like he has the components to get through 95% of his set, and then he just needs to figure out. Maybe like one day he'll figure it out, like how to get that last 5% of his set down to start winning, because that's like been the trend of Druggedfox, where he just hasn't been able to close out sets.
Yeah.
I don't know how fixable that is. I don't know if it's like the case of the person that grows up conditioned to never take the last shot. They like will never be able to do it after a certain point.
Yeah, some people just don't want the ball, man.
They don't want the ball, and there are certain people that grow up and want those situations, like the mangoes. But then there are people that have developed into wanting the ball, where I think Hungrybox is the perfect example of a guy that somehow stopped losing game fives to Mango, and now
it became the opposite.
Yeah. So maybe there's hope for Druggedfox, because I can't think of too many examples of a case where the person that didn't want the ball now wants the ball and does well with the ball.
Well, the good news is that Melee is a single player game.
Yeah.
There's that. So do you want to now that we talked about singles a bunch, do you want to talk about doubles?
Doubles? Sure.
So doubles, freaking crazy at this event. We have Armada Shroom, PewPewU SFAT, and Leffen H-Box, also Mango Lucky, and MacD Westballz. That's like the top 5 teams there. Who do you have? First of all, like, because this one is such a crazy doubles tournament, the big question of the day is, who do you got winning? I think it was really easy in singles for us to say Armada, but this one, it's like I think this is like as coin flippy as you can get between like 3 teams.
Yeah. I think we went over.
Your teams can totally take sets.
I mean, I think it's very similar to what I felt with last week. I think we had a similar discussion. I'm still going to go with Armada Shroomed. Leffen Hungrybox, I think, is a really good team. They have taken game 5s, but I think what happens is, so when you're down to 2 stock versus 2 stock scenarios and you have to drop the play to seal the deal, I don't think Leffen and Hungrybox have the composure to close out sets as much as Armada Shroomed would, and I think that's enough of a difference maker for me to pick Armada Shroomed.
So it looks like HBox Leffen are seeded first, right? And one thing I will say is I think that's a big advantage for them because I like them against Armada Shroom more than I like them against PewFat. I say that because I look at Armada Shroom and I'm like, they're going to go Fox Shiek, right? Armada Shroom against that. Because if they don't, then who kills HBox, right? When it becomes Peach Shiek. I think that must be a Fox Shiek. And I think Armada Shroom is a lot weaker as Fox Shiek than they are as Peach Shiek.
Yeah.
And in general, like, it goes Fox Shiek. I see Leffen doing a lot of work on Shroom in that sort of scenario. Fox doesn't have the support tools, or like Armada's Fox plays completely different than his Peach does in terms of the way he handles stage position, right? So,
I mean, I think in the case, this is where some of the parts, or the team dynamics play a larger role. And one thing I didn't really like about Leffen and Hungrybox is how much they hit each other at EGLX. And it looked like they had very little synergy, and they were just trying to win the 1v1s. And granted, there's enough of a case where, they're really strong at that. But Armada really loves Fox Shiek against Puff.
Do you agree that there's literally no reason for HBox Leffen to be seeded first? No?
Absolutely.
I think it's like actually like what? Why? Like they haven't done anything. Like at least Armada Shroom won CEO and PewFat is PewFat, right? Like
yeah. Maybe they're just going off the two gods. I mean, I think you could shuffle it. I don't think it's an egregious error.
For me, I think HBox Leffen could absolutely win. I just think when you haven't done it and the other two teams have won majors, you give it to the teams that won majors, right? No? Like especially when it's a 3-team bracket effectively like this. So I have I highly question the seeding on that.
That'd be so funny if Mango Lucky just beat Leffen Hungrybox.
That could actually happen too. So it's not like they're going to get a free road.
We kind of forget how hard of a team counter Double Fox is on Fox Puff.
Yeah.
If you remember 2 years ago with the Apex days when it was Mango Lucky versus Hacks Mutaking, there was a counter pick war, and whenever Mango went Puff to counter Shiek Fox, they would go Double Fox and counter Mango. And
they ended up winning them that doubles finals, that horrific doubles finals that was held at 4 a.m. for no reason.
That was so funny. Lucky already left the venue, and they had to come back.
That I don't call it funny, Tafo, but you can call it funny.
I can call it funny because
it was 2 years ago.
It was 2013? Was it 2014? It was 2014. It was because it just shows how ridiculous it was, the organization, and how long we've come from those days. Thank you, Crimson, for bringing us out of the dark days of TOing.
Well, I don't know if I take credit, but either way, 4 a.m. finals for no reason when everyone's asleep and waking them all up to come back to the venue is kind of unacceptable.
Yeah. So I actually think I love the Double Fox actually against Fox Puff, and I think if Mango and Lucky can play smart, I think they can definitely do it with Double Fox. Like that puts. I don't think people realize how much pressure Double Fox puts on the other team's Fox, because if you just get kicked the Jigglypuff away, that Fox is going to eat 1v2s like the whole set.
So hard, right? Yeah. And I think Fox Puff is an incredible team. So that should be clarified. I just think that I agree that Double Fox is really well against them.
I think Double Fox is the hard counter to Fox Puff.
Yeah, which is the opposite of where I think that Shiek, the Shiek Peach team or the Shiek Fox team that Armada Shroom have. I like the characters on the Puff Fox side, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think Double Fox is a lot worse against that, right? You play against a Peach, especially Armada's level in teams, and the Peach Shiek matchup is like Double Fox, as good as it is, you have to be super coordinated to beat that.
Yeah.
That Peach Shiek. So it's weird. I think that HBox Leffen, in a way, like I could absolutely see them losing Lucky Mango. I don't think Lucky Mango have done a good result in a long time, so I still would heavily favor HBox Leffen. But Mango, with his recent results with SUJ, has picked it up in doubles, so I think that's a good sign. My personal opinion is that their losses of late, in the last like 2 years, has been much more Mango than Lucky. Actually, you should watch the game tape, and Mango was just throwing stuff away. Like I don't like. It's very hard if you're Lucky to perform well. And on Lucky's half, like when he teamed with other people, he would do even better than when he had Mango. Right? Yeah. Like he'd team with Reno and he'd be doing better than he did when he had the thing. Right? Like didn't make any sense. Right? So if Mango actually first of all shows up, so hopefully he doesn't get DQ'd. Which I think there's a good chance he'll do it because Saturday is when doubles ends. So it's not like he'll just go show up and finish it that day of. So as long as Mango is locked in, I think Lucky's still really good at teams. That's my honest opinion.
I think Lucky is really good. I think part of it might be a pressure thing. It's kind of like being a teammate of Kobe Bryant, and you get the ball, and if you miss, you're gonna get it. And so I think there is some sort of pressure to perform. And I think Lucky does well when he doesn't have those expectations on him, and he can just be free flow Joey.
Yeah, I think though, with the seeding conversation, if the Mango team doesn't even show up, Acebox Leffen they should be thinking they're lucky stars. They're basically being floated to winners finals, right? Like
they're the perfect Cavs.
To West MacD, I guess, but that's a small chance. I think Acebox is just too good in teams for that to happen. I think
they're the perfect version of the Cavs, like two superstar people that don't synergize particularly well with an easy bracket to finals.
Yeah, exactly. They're the Eastern Conference incarnate in this sport. But it'd be funny, and Lucky Mango could be the Raptors if they somehow take it from underneath them. But more exciting than even that is PewFat versus Armada Shroomed. Boy, oh boy, that's a 50-50 if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I can.
That they're winning the tournament. If they win that winner semis, they're winning the tournament. It's my estimation. Because I like them against HBox Leffen, right? Like, HBox Leffen is the type of team they do very well against, right? They knock the puff away. They do incredible 2v1 combos. PewFat holds stage, PewPewU holds stage, and SFAT does an incredible amount of damage. Like, they will do very well. They do very well in one floaty, one spacey matchups.
Yeah.
You know? They're extremely good at that. I think Armada Shroom is far harder. Shroom, first of all, knows their style. So in doubles, he knows exactly what PewFat likes to go for. So that helps them immeasurably. Plus, there's Armada, right? So it's like a double factor. I think the fact that they have a natural synergy, Armada and Shroom, helps too. They've already been teaming with each other beforehand. Shroom definitely that third string teammate, but still being Armada's third string teammate isn't so bad. After Android and King, I as CEO, honestly, like the way they played, I felt like Shroom could be potentially even better than Android, and at the time even King, because King and Armada were slumping as a couple. They look really good. So, if I was a betting man, I'd say that Armada Shroom to win it. The teams event. But if PewFat win that winner semis, I got them winning the event because if they could beat Armada Shroom in that semis, they could do anything.
I can see that. I'm still gonna go with my boys Armada Shroomed. I think they have the tools to defeat every matchup. Armada can flex pick the Fox in certain situations and flex pick Peach, and I think that they can beat PewFat based on.
I don't think he's going Fox against PewFat at any point, though, right?
So the issue is this, and this is just from my experience playing against PewFat with Fox Shiek and Peach Shiek, is that the issue becomes when PewFat holds center stage, who fights for stage.
Well, Peach can't. So
not super well though.
And neither can Shiek. It has to be Peach almost.
And this is where you need the Fox on certain stages. It's the takeaway stage and at least threaten space.
Actually, you might be right because Armada hates playing Peach against Martha teams. I remember actually having a long talk about that because like the way Peach has to play, which is like the attrition and all this sort of stuff, like and trying to get every hit in. It's like Marth's neutral game advantages keep going up and up, and since Marth wins the neutral game of that matchup naturally, and it's so hard to hit for Peach naturally, and Peach doesn't have time to pull turnips like she does in singles. Then when Marth gets those straight hits, it's not Peach living till 200. It's Peach living to 120 because he's got a Fox teammate who's going to up smash you.
Yeah.
You know? And that really, really tilts it. Plus, there's the stage control aspect and all that. So maybe, you know what? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe that forces, if they can force Armada to switch off Peach, dude, Fox Shiek for Armada Shroom, do you see that beating PewFat? Because I don't.
It's gonna be tough. I think it's so stage dependent, and I definitely don't like Fox Sheik on Yoshi's. I'd rather have Peach Sheik because you're just gonna get obliterated by team combos if you go Fox Sheik. But I think, for example, if you play Dreamland and you go Peach Sheik, I don't think it's that bad. You can go Fox Sheik on Stadium, and I don't think it's that bad. Battlefield, you can go either or.
I don't think you counterpick PewFat to Stadium though, right? Like, though Music King Armada did well on Stadium against them, PewFat's so good on that stage. Like, that's between that and FD, they're just really good, right? They have some search. Actually, the more we're analyzing this, the more I'm liking this for PewFat on the PewFat hat, because I think Armada will have a character question potentially, right? Where he'll probably start as Peach. And then if he loses, and he could lose because of the points we made earlier, then he'll have a big question mark about whether he wants to go Fox or not. And then it'll be they might be behind on counter picks by that point.
I think the key thing here is that Shroom's going to help Armada a lot more on when Armada gets hit. Because Armada is going to be having to take space, and that's something that Mutaking admittedly got a lot better at Smash Summit 2. But I think that's where Shroom's really going to have to play a really important role. Is if Armada gets hit, which he's going to get hit a lot, is how much can Shroom disrupt and start his own things.
Yeah. And you know, it's been talked about a lot in the last year, but now that Armada spent so much time with Android, he needs his Sheik to be more in the fray than not. And Shroom usually is good at that.
Remember, weren't you there at the summit when that happened?
When what happened?
Were you there in the practice friendlies room where Mutaking and Armada were playing? Did you hear them talking amongst themselves?
No, what'd they say?
So like Armada would be like, "No, you are a fucking idiot. Just do what I say." Like it's like, why are you all the way over there? Like Armada was literally just saying like, "I wear the pants." And you're going to listen to what I say because whatever you're going to say in regards to this situation, you're dumb.
I love how Armada and Music King talk to each other. It's always one person saying you're dumb and the other person saying, no, you're dumb. And somehow they win tournaments that way.
Yeah. I mean, but then like Music King played exactly how Armada needed him to play, which was kind of passive, but close enough that he could actually help Armada like get out of rough situations.
Yeah, I think Shroom, I have faith that he won't be passive because he just doesn't do that.
He doesn't play passive. If anything, he's going to run into Armada and get hit by him.
Yeah, I think we're actually going to see Shroom be forward a lot, which could be a good or a bad thing, but I think overall it might be a good thing, especially against a competition like PewFat, which needs to get disrupted because their base game plan is just so strong.
Yeah.
PewFat absolutely could win this tournament, would be really good for their doubles resume. You know, everyone has arguments over who's the best team in the world, who the best team in the world is. In the last few months has like been really advantageous for Armada Mutaking between winning Genesis and Summit. If PewFat want to get back to that conversation, they should win this.
So I trust you're going to create some sort of ladder system for doubles so that we see consistent teammates in the future.
Yes, I want to see that. I also want to have. I was throwing this idea around. I might as well just throw it out on stream, whatever. Is I was considering what if we did like a doubles only major, like an actual big time doubles only major.
Other than doubles, what else would you do? Would it just be doubles only? Like
one day, but doubles is like a feature event.
Okay.
So like probably a week after Evo or something. It's like something like that where everyone's already in town. Not saying we're doing it this year. I'm just saying that's an idea.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be interesting, but I don't know how you incentivize people the right way to just not sign up for singles or come even if there's no singles.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the top player would support it because they all want to see doubles grow.
Mm.
So I think that would be the incentive. They're there, so go.
I think that'd be sick, and if we somehow got the prize pool support for it.
Yeah. So as chat knows, I'm a big fan of doubles. I can't wait to commentate that as well. It's the first tournament in a long time where I've commentated both doubles top 8 and singles top 8. I usually have one or the other. So I'm happy to actually go into it and prep for both, going into some analysis. So it'll be fun. Yeah.
So should we end it on some questions?
Yeah, that's absolutely what I want to do. Let's open up the Ask FM to the fans and ask us some questions because I know you guys are itching. There's a lot of different topics we talked about and we went over, but a lot that we didn't talk about also. So just fill up the inbox.
All right, so I'll just type it in for people that are a little late. Okay. Do you think changes... So the first question I got asked is, do you think changes need to be made to the fantasy draft system on SmashGG? As it currently stands, you can get a ton of top players and then just pick 3 or 4 $10 picks. My team has all top 5 seeds.
I think that their fantasy game is not their focus in their development right now. Just being honest, as fun as it is, it's consider how many other amazing features that site can build, and I think it's good for what it is right now. But as everything else develops, I'm sure fantasy is gonna get way better. So
right.
Yeah, it's more like this is the easiest to implement fantasy system that'll be fun for everybody in the meantime, and then a full fantasy system will probably happen down the line.
And to put it into perspective, when you look at daily fantasy for sports, you have a team full of PhDs that are looking to optimize the experience to make it fun and to make it so that you have to make many tough decisions.
Just to answer some questions in the chat, D1 is commentating with me for both doubles and singles. And then I'm also doing one block on Saturday with None, which I'm looking forward to, for pools. So that is that. I don't know who's doing the rest of the casting. Top 32 is actually super hype. So I'm not really sure who else is here. I think, like I said, I just landed. I'm in my hotel room, but I'm sure people are going to step up, so it'll be fun. Yeah, but instead of writing in the chat your questions, you should write to our Ask FM so we can answer them.
Worst case scenario, you're commentating alone and there's no matches on the stream at the moment. What's the ideal way to keep the viewers entertained?
Well, I have a big mouth, so I can keep talking forever.
You got to give a little bit more information of that. What are the blur strats?
What are my strats? Dude, I think step number 1 is to be super comfortable on the mic. When that happens, don't freeze up and think that hey, oh no, this is so hard. I'm solo commentating, whatever. I think that you're just on a couch chilling with homies, commentating. Be yourself. Rule number 1 of commentating is be yourself. Don't be someone else. Don't try to copy Homemade Waffles or Scar or me or whatever you think you're trying to do. Be yourself, chill out, and it's okay if there's small dead time while you think about something better to say. All right, homie, no one cares. It's much worse if you just are rambling about incoherent crap.
I would say some of the go-to topics. You can talk about the environment here, what's happened so far, how you're liking the city.
Things your last 2 days and what have you done? Has anything cool happened? Has anything interesting of note at all happened whatsoever? And talk about that. You can also do analysis like we're doing now. We just freaking talk for 2 hours about the tournament analysis. That's plenty of filler to add to an event, and
yeah,
we can talk for another 2 hours if we want to. And to talk about exactly the player dynamics. You can talk about the previous set that happened. You can talk about certain players you met. certain that how you think things are, people are receiving the tournament, or there's a million different topics. I think much more important than topics is the tone, though. Like if you can make the chat feel relaxed so that they don't even notice your solo, that's the best.
Yeah. Thoughts on player burnout? Has going esports and having more tourneys hurt players, or is it on them to take care of themselves?
I've said this before, and I go against the grain in saying this, but I think it's mostly on them, and I don't think our player burnout situation is actually very bad at all.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that relative to other esports and sports. I think that we didn't have anything major last week. That could have been an off week for them if they really wanted to. We did have something 2 weeks ago, but frankly, twice a month is not that bad. You look at Counter-Strike players; they're playing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Vainglory players in new eSport are playing on freaking Tuesdays and Thursdays for their cup. Rocket League players are playing more. Like smaller esports are playing more. Like,
yeah. I guess the way I put it is this: like, so top players want money, right? And they want to be recognized for being taken seriously and taking this as a career, right? Like, if you told me that you can't work 6 days a month, and that's too much for you, I think there's a huge problem.
There's that. I think obviously because you have to travel because it's Smash and being on that like wears on people. And I know it wears on me sometimes because there's pretty much never a weekend where I'm not traveling.
But you're also working. Like you work full time.
I work 5 days a week and I'm traveling and I'm working in event casting and TOing usually. Like there's a lot going on there, and I'm not. You don't see the blur planning. That's all I'm saying. And I know I can't take break weeks, right? Like if you're a plump, you could take GOML off. I can't take GOML off. Like that's not how it works. I gotta make sure shit runs. So yeah, and there's that aspect. Of course, there's a lot of player care, and I think the situation also since a lot of them really depend on doing well and depend on maybe tournament winnings to do well, that adds a lot of pressure, and that contributes to burnout. The amount of pressure they feel for that, but I still I can't shake the thought of I look at literally every esport and they're playing more than us still, and so I can't say that we're playing too much. I do think structure would help. There's a lot of things that would help. There's if these guys had a more regimented system, they had better management, they had better coaching, they had better infrastructure, all this stuff would help. But having said that, a lot of the guys that are complaining aren't even playing that much. And when they are playing, sometimes I'm like, well, if you're feeling burnt out so bad, why are you going to North Dakota Westballz? Why are you going to Florida for frame one hugs? Blah blah blah. Examples I use, but it's true also. These guys are going to small weeklies or regionals and traveling for them, and they don't really have a reason to. If they actually felt burnout, they could just skip those events.
Yeah. So I think there's just countless optimization things you could do. I think the more I think about it, I'm aware the burnout issue exists, but there's so many things you could do to prevent it.
Yeah, in many cases, just go to your freaking local. I know everyone wants to travel and see every city, and you do live the Smash life and stuff, but bro, you're gonna be doing this thing for a long time. You're gonna see every city in due time. It's go to the events that give you that are the majors. Is the honest truth. And go to higher level regionals for sure. That helps too. But if your local is bigger than the tournament you're traveling across the country for, go to your fucking local.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Don't you think Leffen has to deal with a lot and understandably hasn't had much incentive to practice and stay at the top? How do you think he will regain his former skill? I feel like this is honestly an NBA sideline question. I think there's an interview where he actually said that he didn't have much incentive to play and he had to question his motivations because he didn't know the next time he could go back to an Evo or something. And how he gets his former skill is just practice.
Can you repeat the question? You kind of went quick.
All right. So don't you think Leffen has had to deal with a lot and understandably hasn't had much incentive to practice and stay at the top? How do you think he will be able to regain his former skill?
Yeah, I think that he'll. I don't disagree that he hasn't had incentive. I think this is this is like being good at Smash is incentive enough. But I think that because he couldn't come to the States, maybe that the incentive that demotivated him. They thought, hey, what tournament am I really preparing for? I'm preparing for nothing right now. This sucks. But I mean, I don't think he ever had a point in time, except for maybe a couple months back when his visa was straight up rejected, where he thought he wasn't going to come back.
Yeah.
Right. So if he was being smart, he would have taken care of himself the whole time. Plus, like to repeat, guys, Europe is not like Smash exists in Europe. Like he was gone, but he was still in Europe. Like there's events there. There's Beast, there's DreamHack, there's other events he could have gone to and kept in shape. So yeah, it's an expected drop off, but I also think it shouldn't be that long till he's back to peak form.
Yeah.
Because like I said, he was playing the whole time. It wasn't like he just retired for 6 months. It was North American retirement, or United States retirement, which is it's a very different thing.
All right. So we have quite a few questions, so we're gonna have to kind of Twitter answer these. Will Fork make top 8 at GOML?
No.
No. Okay. Why do I keep hearing people say Melee has a technical barrier? It seems to me that there's a huge spread of skill levels, and you can beat quite a lot of people without the tech commonly cited as necessary for competitive play. Do you know how Melee got this reputation?
So Melee got the reputation because it can be played extremely technical. I'll agree that you can play a more fundamental style, absolutely. But, dude, Melee is really hard, so let's not sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
And it being hard is both a impediment and an asset to its growth. It depends on who you're trying to appeal to. If you're trying to appeal to the guy who really wants to take on a challenge, the guy who plays Ninja Gaiden, the guy who tries to play Dark Souls, then they're gonna eat it all up and they're gonna be like, oh, let me check out this Melee thing. On the other hand, it could be really daunting because you're you go into a tournament and you know that it's filled with even mid-level players have played for 10 years sometimes, right? And you're facing against a bunch of people with a decade of experience. It can be really daunting. Thankfully, the new era has helped that a little bit because there's so many new players that usually you go into a room and you actually have quite a few players which you can match up against. I think the reputation mostly came from its earlier history, where you had a 200-man event and everyone was ridiculous. Now many of those same people who were in that 200 are 200 of the top 300 in the world.
Yeah.
And now instead there is thousands that go underneath them, tens of thousands that go underneath them, and have made the tournaments easier in a sense. So I think it's definitely even out. I wouldn't say and take away from the fact that Melee is extremely difficult though. Melee is very, very, very hard game.
And if you don't have tech skill, you don't have options, and there's only a certain point that you can get to without having your options available to you.
Yeah. So it's, dude. There's going to be the kind of person who naturally, because of those type of barriers, would prefer to watch Melee than play Melee, and I think we should always welcome those people too, right?
Yeah.
I know myself, I can't lie, I could never play Brood War competitively. One of the main reasons was damn, this game's freaking hard, right? And between you can't play both Melee and Brood War at the same time, your hands are just gonna blow up. So I chose to watch it. So maybe that's the path for some people instead. Lord knows our tournaments are big enough as it is. So it's not like we're aching for attendance. So there's just different ways to participate.
All right, next question. This was kind of scathing. Have you watched the Leffen interview by any chance on the score?
No, I have not yet.
Leffen called players such as Westballz and Axe one-trick ponies with their playstyles, and he believes that prevents them from breaking into the next tier. Do you agree?
No, I disagree, actually.
Let's put it this way. I think to reframe it is, I think they have big leaks in their game.
That's true.
I think that's kind of what Leffen was kind of getting at
That's
too.
probably what he was getting at, and that is absolutely true. But I don't think they're gimmicks.
I think the main thing with Wes is that this is just me coming from experience. Like Wes's game has improved a lot in every way. He hits hard. He's really frustrating to hit sometimes, and like he shield pressures you like a monster. But that being said, the reason why like I think some of his weaknesses get more exposed by certain players like Swedish Delight is because when he's trying to zone you out or try to approach you from mid screen, he's a little bit sloppy. And when you play against a Shiek that will dash dance grab you or have the right hard counter to you, or like a Peach or a Jigs that will reach how you're trying to approach from mid screen, if they can figure that out, you're going to get punished really hard. And that's one of Wes's big weaknesses that a lot of people are exposed from him, especially the floaty characters.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair criticism. Like, there's a lot to both West and the Axe game where, as an outsider, it can be really frustrating because you're like, wow, you're so good at these extraordinarily hard things, and yet the simple stuff, it can be difficult. And I think that's what Leff is touching on, is that there's a level of fundamental that those guys are still missing compared to their skill, and that can, and what has catapulted them up is their mastery of extremely difficult and small situational things, right? That have that stacked on top of each other. You can call those things gimmicky. I would actually defer and say it's not, because I do think those things scale. I think when I think of a gimmick, I think of something that if you got good enough, it would stop working. I don't think their stuff stops working. I think rather if they were just stronger on the fundamental stuff, stronger on the core aspects, that make you win or lose a game in Melee, then they would do far better.
All right, so I think this is probably the best litmus test. If you are really good fundamentally and you have like a multi-dimension game, is whether or not you can beat Plup consistently.
Dude, no one can beat Plup consistently though.
Or like over 50% of the time.
Yeah, well, I think that's a pretty hard litmus test, man. Plup. If Plup's your litmus test, then you're pretty good.
No, I think he's the draw line at that level, right? Because Leffen's saying like, I'm different from these demigods, right?
Sure. I think he's trying to set himself apart and say, hey, why am I different than, and why did I? Because again, people forget this over and over again. But a year and a half ago.
But then again, Leffen did lose to Plup, so maybe that's
a year and a half ago. Leffen was in that same pack as Wes, Axe, Plup, etc. Well, Plup wasn't even in that pack at that time because Plup was like a top 20 player, not a top 10, top 5 player. And at that time, what separated him from the pack, he would say, is his growth in fundamentals, and I would actually agree with him because there was a point in time which I would say Leffen had very poor fundamentals. This was before his rise. And then now he's arguably the most fundamental of the active players, now that PP is a little bit more inactive. So, yeah, absolutely.
All right, this question is yours. What are some easy things that Melee can do to progress as an esport?
Ooh! Dude, I feel like I'm a broken record, but I like to preach the gospel. We need international growth desperately, badly, desperately. Can't say it enough. Every moment we don't, every event we have which doesn't have multilingual commentary is a failed event, as I consider it. I think that there needs to be a certain level of structure which separates events from another and adds importance. I don't think that, for example, and this is not a knock on the organizers, and EGLX should be weighed in our analysis as comparative to a Genesis, right? And I say that because both those events, because of the way Smash is and how everyone goes to things, everyone goes to both, and so in our analysis we just view it as like a tournament with both players. But I think there needs to be a little bit more lead up. That would help a lot. But I would love to see. There's maybe Latin America is the key if we're gonna start it first. for like Smash Factor, Astra, First Attack. Those are really good events. I challenge anyone in the stream to go to the First Attack Facebook page and look at their pictures from the last year's event and tell me that doesn't look better than than most American majors. Straight up, it's a Puerto Rican event. And literally look at it side by side of things that people are going to now in the USA and tell me that doesn't look better. Their production is straight up better, and it's in freaking Puerto Rico, right? And I think I just don't like. We need to just support that stuff. We can all go out there, in my opinion. I also, and this is a shot, but I'm just gonna say it. When I go to certain Smash events, I walk in the room and I know what I see, and I look with my eyes, and there are times I look at it on a TOing basis and think I could have made this in like 4 days. As in the level of effort put into this, which was hire out Gaming Gen to bring setups, seed it on SmashGG, put up a registration page, and then make a logo is like the limit, right? Like that's where it comes and it ends. And I think there needs to be a far bigger standard there than that. And I say that because I have hosted majors in 4 days with even less, right? Like,
Kings of Cali, shoutouts.
Yeah, or PAX. Like literally, like both of those I built up in a week, right? And I would argue those events I did in like 4 days were better than what many people spend like 6 months planning. And I'm like, what are you spending your time on, right? As a TO, like how is it? This is all you can do, and I don't know. Obviously, there's a level of experience that we all need to have, but I think that the bar for creativity as a TO is.
But you have a top TO privilege.
I guess, man. Like
Armada can ask you, like, say, if you run an event, I'm coming.
Yeah, I get that, right? Like, and I understand that I have a lot of years on these guys. But they have so much time that I still, and there's a playbook, man. There's a playbook at this point, and the resources are so good. I think that most of all, you could be new, but you be creative, and I don't see that a lot. I see guys like churning out the same freaking formula a lot, where they're like, "Hey guys, let me put setups into a room. They find a venue, and all they're looking for when they find a venue is a room, right? They're not looking for anything special or an idea." And I feel like that's such a missed opportunity. The production value, like I don't like stagnation in that. Like I remember one of my big frustrations was, that vertical layout everyone does now with the 2 cameras on the side that everyone likes is where it's centered. That it was all before that point. It was all left sided. There was a point in time where everything we did was left sided. And there was one camera, and the weekend, there was 1 week where SSS used to be on Level Up, if you remember, right? The Twitch channel. And because of some drama between Super Arcade and Level Up, we don't need to go into that. We, 2 days before, we didn't have a streamer, right? So that's when we made the Team Oxy Twitch page, because we were like, oh crap, I guess we don't have a streamer now. So we decided to stream it ourselves, and we were hustling and making it hard. And in those 2 days, I thought about it for a second. I was like, why the hell does everyone do left-sided? It's so much better if the game's in the middle. And we came up with this 2-camera system, right? Like, for me, it's like, how is that not being pushed forward? Are we really going to have another event where it's just a freaking game shot, a webcam, and a commentator cam? Like, guys, there's so much we can do with the game, right? Like, there's like social integrations. There's player histories. There's like so much I want, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like other people aren't thinking this stuff, and it's probably true because no one else is working on it full time. But I think one thing that would help is if there were more people who were really trying to push the bar instead of when they host an event, they're just trying to meet the bar.
Yeah, that's fair. Which players have fell out of the top 30 and who have replaced them? So the 2 that come into mind are probably Hugs and the Moon. Wait, no, they're still top 30. The Moon was he top 30 last year?
Yeah, he was, right? He was barely.
If Zoo was in the top 30 last year, he's definitely out.
Yeah. At this point, they're both out, I think. I don't think Hugs has done enough. If his year ended now, he would not be top 30. I'd be no way. With guys like Swedish replacing those spots, he would not be top 30.
Yeah.
So I think those 2 would drop out. people who come in are guys like Swedish.
Professor Pro?
Maybe. What has he done that would really bump him that high?
He beat Leffen.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Good point. Astute point, Teffelkins. Yeah, maybe him.
So I would toss out. Let's see. I'm looking at the list. I would toss out Zoo. I would toss out Fly. I would toss out KK, and toss out the Moon.
Well, by the end of the year, we might be tossing Fly back in.
Yeah. So Swedish Delight, Wobbles would definitely get in. Professor Pro would jump in. I guess Hugs would still be top 30 by
They're
default.
also pointing out he beat HBox at Paragon LA,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, it was last year, but still, I mean, if you have those two guys on your resume, you're not top 25. Then what is this?
Let's see. So Wobbles moves up. Obviously, Swedish move up. Professor Pro. So that's 3 people. If there's going to be like 1 or 2 more people.
Wobbles wasn't top 25 in that last ranking.
Yeah, because of his atrocious Mario performance.
He would he would go up a little bit, just a tad bit.
Yeah. Let's see who else is there. I mean, at this point, when do we have to start considering none might be on the cusp of that?
I think he would likely make it. I mean, this tournament would help, but
like if none gets top 12 here, and he's been doing remarkably well lately. Like, when do we start considering that he might actually be top 30?
Yeah, it's absolutely possible. I also think there's a chance that Wizrope moves even higher, right? Like, he's a top 20 player now.
Wizzy is top 23 on last year. He's definitely probably like
top
15-ish.
Yeah, he's no doubt.
And then
high, but he's right there.
And then Gatsu's slowly flirting if he just gets like one more good national.
Yeah, he's still like top 35, 30-ish, I'd say, but he can do it.
So those are the people I have in mind. Dizzkidboogie, when do we start giving him enough props?
Well, DreamHack, he had a lot of close calls, but he didn't quite make it. But I mean, he took Mewtwo King in that one awesome local. So
yeah,
he could get there, I guess. I'm not comfortable with the idea, but God damn it, Kyle, I guess you might be getting up there.
I mean, Dizzkidboogie, like, he's certainly top 50 at this point. I think he can argue for 40 based on like the. Did you see his Fight Pit 6?
No, what happened again?
He beat Hugs, Duck, None, Abate.
Oh, Duck also. Where was Duck ranked last year again?
Yeah.
Where was Duck ranked last year again? Hugs was above Duck last year, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Duck's gonna go up.
So I mean, this kid's somewhere in the 40 to 50 in my book right now. I can't. It's hard to visualize because like we're probably gonna think like 80 people are in the top 50, and we're like, oh crap, everybody's good.
Yeah, and once you actually put it down, so apparently Duck was 22nd last year. Do you think Duck is top 20 now? He is, right? Pretty undoubtedly.
It's actually really hard to put because you have to take someone out. I mean, if I were to look at the top 20 now, I mean, Quobble's been making waves, right?
There's also Silent Wolf's had a silent year.
And Nintendo moves up this year, right?
Yeah.
Like, the issue is if you put somebody up, you have to put people down, and it's really hard. I would say Duck is like around 20, but like you have to drop 2 people ahead of him. Maybe one of those is Hugs, but then Wizrope was behind him, and I would argue that Wizrope's higher than Duck right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know who you move down to fit Duck in. I guess is the question I'm wondering.
These players who are doing better in this first half of 2016, I really hope the voters don't lose sight of that by the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
There's been a trend of the voters like thinking far and outweighing the second half of the year a lot higher than the first half. And I hope they remember, like, hey guys, Wizzy did do amazing at DreamHack Austin. I know that was 8 months ago, but and they really remember that sort of stuff.
But on the flip side, we did have like the opposite 2 years ago. So maybe the pendulum swings. Remember when Quobble got like 5th at Apex and then he did nothing like the rest of the year?
And then he got ranked really high, yeah.
He got ranked 10th.
Yeah, that was high for him. Honestly, even back then, like I was like, Quobble's not 10th in the world, man.
Yeah, I mean that was largely because he got 5th at Apex.
Yeah, well, people validate Apex results really high that year.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll answer a few more questions. What's the best spot for Korean barbecue in the LA area? That's a tough question. I mean, we usually go to Gen.
Gen is really good.
I think Gen's top tier. So Gen, if you go all you can eat, it's like $18, which is more than reasonable. If you want if you have an unlimited budget, there's this one place in downtown LA called Kanghongdong, which is like really amazing.
That one's very, very good.
But you are going to be spending a lot more money on it.
And actually, Gen might still be better.
I don't know. I love Kanghongdong's quality of meat.
Yeah, they're good.
But I love Gen.
Gen is... dude, we should go back to Gen. We should do a home trip.
I'm so down. I went to Korean barbecue with Brian Tran last weekend. It was amazing.
Sick. All right,
what could be a hypothetical season league for Smash? It's a lengthy discussion. So I guess for me, I would envision it as some sort of points circuit thing, similar to MLG, but better. That leads into like an ending Capcom Pro Tour. And that's the way I would think about it.
Yep, I think Capcom Pro Tour is a decent comparison.
I think that's the ideal model. This is a really good question, actually, for this next one. What do you think about YouTube channels like GR Smash, Senpai, Camp Brothers that are stealing aggregating content that isn't theirs? Some say it's good for exposure and promotion, but could this hurt Melee in the long run?
Answer yes. Okay, next. No, seriously, it's depends on how they're doing it. There are definitely videos where it's like a highlight reel of a set, and then they do like 4 of the 5. It's a 5-minute. Let's say it's a 5-minute match, and they do a 4-minute highlight reel. You're like, are you serious? You're just taking the match, right?
Yeah.
And I think what people underrate is just how little effort sometimes some of these compilations can take in comparison, and the fact that they're monetized, right? Like, and exactly how that money flow works. I do think, having said that, a lot of those channels do a good job, and they do make good videos. Depends. It's a case-by-case basis. It just takes a certain level of editing, and I know it's subjective, but like, for example, I think Mod Bob, for example, that takes a lot of work. He has to listen to like every piece of commentary, and he had to put like long compilations together, and the way he makes it in, like, sure, he had no actual advanced like After Effects stuff, but that's just time consuming. I know how much time that takes.
Yeah.
But when you I mean, first of all, when you just straight up upload someone else's top 8 set, like that's wrong, and that's already that's happening a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we see stuff where like Geeky Goon Squad's matches were being taken like Leva uploads like 4 hours after the tournament, right? And people were still putting them up before him, right? Or they were doing it while the tournament was happening, so Leva had no chance to upload it, right? Because he's not in a venue where he can both stream and do and upload at the same time because of internet limitations. So like that's super scummy in my opinion.
Yeah.
Me personally, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Twitch employee. I watch more and more VODs on Twitch now because of Rechat, and I think that the like small things that have been added over time, like you can use the arrow keys to move forward and back, so you don't have to like scroll like freaking seconds, have really helped. And Rechat just makes it like a million times better.
Yeah.
To get like the real experience. So I don't actually watch YouTube VODs except on mobile very much anymore.
Yeah. I think the main issue to add, I think there was a discussion on Reddit. I think it later got taken down. It was a controversy with Milk about the Scar and Toe show, and at the very least, just at least ask for permission. And most of the time we'll say yes, even if you're like...
It's really frustrating when you're like, oh, this is my face. Oh, by the way, I'm not in the description. I'm not like anywhere. And like, are you like at the end of the day, like, you're not making, like, these guys have to be a little bit self-aware that they're not the ones making the content, right? They're editing the content, which is great. They're not making
But some of them aren't even editing the content, and they're taking like a 15-minute clip from the Scar and Toph show and just literally just uploading it and not referring to the Scar and Toph show, and
using Scar's face as a thumbnail, right?
Yeah.
Like so he's like literally the draw, and they make it put like a funny like clickbait tagline,
and then they're monetizing it too,
they're monetizing it. So it's like, dude, like I know, like especially for the younger generation, and I'm part of that younger generation, we're like in the piracy age, and we don't really value content the same as maybe previous generations did. Like We all want everything for free. It feels like, however it happened, our generation got away with getting music and adult videos for free. You know, like when previous generations paid for those things. You know, nowadays, like it's almost like it's the standard. Like that's something that's free now, right?
Yeah.
And somehow we got away with it as a generation. But if that happens to more industries, that factually hurts the content creators.
Yeah, it does. Let's see. Next question. Will you ever do Melee Jeopardy on stream? I mean, I tried to test trivia yesterday to test it as a proof of concept. I might do it once a month. So what will probably happen is the winner of the first 3 weeks of the TAFO Trivia Nights will be invited to do Jeopardy on the 4th week, but it's going to be a lot of work, so it probably won't start till August or July.
Yeah, trivia's sick. We should do it sometime, but it's a good idea. Who knows?
Has Kadano helped you on your gameplay? Review of the product. So I have a Kadano controller. It's been really good. Shield dropping's phenomenal. Mango is really jealous of my controller, but I haven't been practicing. So controller upgrade, play downgrade, and it somehow evens out. Would Blur and TOs be open to collaborating on an in-depth guide to creating a successful event?
I think that would help a little bit. It would at least standardize some things. Here's the honest truth, though, is that all the relevant events are getting one-on-one consulting on like a routine basis already. People don't see it, but like I help like the things they need to know, they know, but often they don't do it, right? Like, so trust me, it's not as often. It's not out of lack of knowledge, or like people like me and Rob will make ourselves available plenty for that.
Yeah.
And now sometimes we get swarmed and we get asked too many questions, but it would help, but to a certain degree, less on the major tier. It would probably help locals a little bit more. Locals, I mean, sometimes that's also a matter of more effort than anything we could do. You know, you see guys who put less value on their stream for their locals, and that just infuriates me. You know, when like there's already a standard out in SoCal and NorCal and Xanadu and Foundry and SSS and Mayhem and of locals doing well in viewership and mattering and really improving player livelihoods. So, you know, things like that. Sometimes it's just an effort thing, dude.
Yeah. Let's see. Where do you rank PewPewU if he has another bad mediocre performance? That'd be fair. Like he still has wins. Like he beats Westballz and he's beating Druggedfox. He split sets with Ice. I mean, so I don't know how much lower you can put him because like those aren't his resume is definitely not top 10 quality. But if we were to take a guy like Duck or someone in the low 20s or the 20s or the 19, and we switch resumes and said, well, you beat Druggedfox, you beat Ice, or you split with Ice, you beat Westballz, you'd be like, wow, that's like really good. We should move him up.
Yeah, I think he'd be dropping to the 15-20 range.
I think he'd probably be like 18, 19.
Yeah, something like that. But he wouldn't be dropping farther than that. Not yet.
So that's where I put him. Definitely has been disappointing, and I think it's because he's one of the cases where we've been waiting for like a breakout, and it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, absolutely. But it could happen this event. Who knows? I'm skeptical because I still think there's some work ethic issues.
I agree. I just don't. I mean, it's one of those things where I just don't sense that he wants it enough for whatever that means. But that's my gut.
Sometimes I think that the people around him want it more than he does for him.
Yeah.
So who knows?
So that's the way I see it. And I think that's it for questions. And I actually have like an early start tomorrow, so we should probably dig any closing out.
Absolutely. It's good. It's good chatting with you, chat. Give us more feedback on the show if you guys liked it, whatever.
Yeah. This one was bad because I didn't get the sound right. I had new headphones and I had a mic, and it just didn't quite work out.
How are you uploading this? The first like hour was all left up. Like after that, I felt like it was good. Your camera.
Yeah, so I'm gonna like try to cut out the first like 40 minutes and say that.
I think it's probably a good idea actually because
I think it's good.
It wasn't even that good.
It wasn't good. It was my fault.
Yeah, I blame you.
You can blame me. Everybody just blame me. All right. Let's see. We're going to close out. Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.